Welcome back to Ghost Pirate Entertainment. I'm your host, Kanan Becker, and today we do another deep dive into Tubi. And with that, let's get to the list. Belzebuth is a 2017 Mexican horror movie directed by Emilio Portes. It stars Joaquin Cosio, Tobin Bell, and Tate Ellington. After a personal tragedy, a police detective investigates a series of child massacres that may be linked to demon possession. Holy shit, this movie is savage. It's brutal, it's so dark and demented, really twisted. Not a movie that's gonna be for everyone because this movie gets bleak and dark and could definitely traumatize certain people because they straight up kill kids in this movie. And granted, it's not super gory, they don't always show everything, but that's definitely a thing that happens quite a bit in this film. But if you can handle the dark, gritty, demented kind of stuff, this movie is a fantastic ride because it is so over the top. It's wild, it does all these different things, it gets gory, it's really a lot. It does go over the top though, so there are certain things where it feels a little bit on the campy side. But for the most part, this movie keeps it savage and dirty. But I'm telling you, if you're a fan of Tobin Bell, he is awesome in this movie. You have to see this just to see him in it. But also Joaquin Cosio, holy shit, I'd never seen him in anything before, but he throws himself completely into this role. Also, you're gonna have to read subtitles. Most of this is in Spanish. There are definitely some American dialogue elements, maybe a quarter of it, but probably 75% of it, you're gonna have to read subtitles for. But I had a tremendous time with this movie, and for the right audience, it's one that I highly recommend.
I've got so much power to give you. All you have to do is beg.
Lord of Illusions is a 1995 neo-noir supernatural horror movie, written and directed by Clive Barker. It stars Scott Bakula, Kevin J. O'Connor, and Famke Janssen. The story focuses on a private eye who has several experiences with the supernatural, embarking on an investigation involving a stage illusionist and a cult led by an evil, powerful sorcerer.
See, that's his best trick. No illusions, just the truth.
If Nixie is back from the dead, then he is some kind of a god.
This is one of my favorite movies of all time. For one, I just love Clive Barker. I wish he would have directed more films because as much as his books are great and all that, I don't read much. I don't have great eyesight, really bad ADHD, just have never been big on reading. So I love that he's done some movies and I love his style and the way he sees films, the visual element and all those things. I just wish we had more of those. But the films that Clive Barker did write and direct are just fantastic. But like I said, this is definitely one of my favorites. I love how the style of this movie is that real neo-noir gumshoe kind of thing. And as you get deeper and deeper into it, it starts to get more and more supernatural, more and more weird and twisted. I also really love the visuals in this because there's a lot of early CGI in this that definitely dates it, but there's a way that they do it in this that I just think gives it charm and style and feels weird and still works on a lot of levels. But then there's also a lot of practical effects that still very much hold up. But this is just so moody and atmospheric and creepy. I love the directions that it takes. It's this fun mystery of you trying to figure out who is who, why this is the way it is, and this and that. And it's just a very fun ride. But if you've never seen Lord of Illusions, or if it's been a while, this is one you definitely need to see.
But what can people do to hurt a mountain?
They Look Like People is a 2015 psychological horror thriller. Shot, edited, written, and directed by Perry Blackshear in its feature directorial debut. It stars McLeod Andrews, Evan Dumichel, and Margaret Ying Drake. The story's about a man who believes that human beings are secretly being taken over by evil creatures.
Those that try to hurt you will turn silent and will bow down.
This is a real weird one. Very creepy, a lot of atmosphere, but lives in that dread and that foreboding element. It is a slow burn. It does slowly take its time getting where it's going. But if you enjoy movies like that, you'll enjoy this one a lot, because that dread, that element of distrust and what's real and what's all in this character's head is really well done. And the different twisted turns that it takes, it keeps you guessing throughout. But there's something very haunting and disturbing about this movie in the way that it's very quiet and slowly moves forward at times. It's also so impressive because one guy did it all. Wrote, directed, produced, edited. I mean, all of it. It's Perry Blackshear. And I have just the utmost respect for any filmmaker like that. Going back to my favorite movie of all time, and that's Phantasm. And that entire movie was done by Don Coscarelli. He was the same thing. So I think this guy's got a bright future. I need to check out and look more into other things he's done since, because this is a fairly old movie at this point, so I'm sure he's done other things. But I think if you're a fan of small, indie, slow burn, creepy films, this is one you definitely should give a look. Bone Tomahawk is a 2015 Western horror movie, written and directed by S. Craig Zoller in his directorial debut. It stars Kurt Russell, Patrick Wilson, and Sid Haig. The story's about a small-town sheriff who leads a posse into a desolate region to rescue 3 people who were abducted by a cannibalistic Native American clan.
Making a 5-day journey in 3 days, riding along and sleeping the bare minimum.
I don't know what's west of here. No cattle trail or anything else goes in that direction.
This movie is so damn good. It's what I wish there were more of, because there's something about the gritty quality of a Western movie that's done with horror elements in it and really dives into that horror world that just works so well. And sure, there's a few other ones, but I don't think any of them live up to Bone Tomahawk, because this is definitely a Western. It has all the fun and dirty, grimy, gritty qualities of a good Western. But then it's also extremely horrific, because there are some of the most brutal scenes in this movie that I've ever seen. There's one in particular that if you've seen this, you know what I'm talking about. It'll make your stomach turn. It's one of the most gruesome, brutal scenes that I think has ever been put to film. But what I love about this is that it's still a really good movie with incredible acting. I mean, Sid Haig, Patrick Wilson, Kurt Russell. I mean, it's an incredible cast that do a phenomenal job in it. It's also a real no-biter that'll keep you on the edge of your seat, just waiting to see what's gonna happen next. But there is just so much here worth seeing. So if you've never seen Bone Tomahawk and you got a strong stomach, do yourself a favor and check it out.
Welcome to the greatest show on earth!
Circus of the Dead is a 2014 splatter horror movie, co-written and directed by Billy Bloody Bill Pond. It stars Bill Oberst Jr., Parrish Randall, and Chanel Ryan. A sadistic group of clowns kidnap an unsuspecting man and his daughters, forcing him to play a deadly game in order to save his family.
What are those? Tarot cards or something?
No, you'll figure it out soon enough.
This is an absolutely fucked movie. It's not for everyone. It's weird, uncomfortable, gritty, very gross, very gory, and it's offensive. It's offensive for just about everything you can possibly imagine. They do it all in this movie. That's really the point of what they're doing here. But it's also a splatter movie where it has tons of blood, tons of guts. I mean, it's very mean-spirited. So like I said, that's just not everybody's cup of tea. It's not exactly a fun movie, but there is kind of a black humor about it. And I think the right audience will definitely get a kick out of what happens here. But it's just really sick and twisted stuff. But it's well done. Everybody involved, you could tell this is a passion project and they threw everything they had into it. And there's been talks for a while that they're making a sequel to this. And I know there is a real loyal cult following for this film. I think it's one of those movies though that you may not rewatch this over and over. It's not that kind of movie, but it's one that you should definitely see if you're a huge fan of horror at least once. Because even though I think Terrifier does a similar thing and does it better, this is in that same world, so to speak. Like, there are similarities between this. This is a very DIY, grimy, low-budget movie that really goes for it just like Terrifier. So if that sounds like the type of thing you're into, I think it'll be right up your alley.
Listening to him, okay?
Ghoul is a 2015 Czech mockumentary horror movie. Directed by Petr Jakul, it stars Jennifer Armour, Jeremy Isabella, and Paul S. Tracy. An American film crew goes to Ukraine to investigate stories of widespread cannibalism, only to summon the spirit of a notorious serial killer cannibal.
In 1932 and 1933, Ukraine suffered a terrible famine, which led many people to resort to cannibalism.
I've recommended this a few times here on the channel because I just think it's that good, especially for fans of found footage mockumentary films, because it isn't done really any better than this. Because I love how they interweave real things, because they interweave the real serial killer, Andrei Ticatello, into this movie. And I love how well it's done, because he was a real serial killer and one of the most prolific and evil sons of bitches that's ever lived. Like, this guy was fully demented and just completely fucked up. And so he's a perfect villain to kind of interweave into this story. But even if you're not aware of him or his story, because they do such a good job of it, the way it looks, the feeling of it, the way it's all put together, it's just very ominous and creepy as hell. Because for such a small movie that you know had very limited resources, they do a fantastic job of storytelling in this. And then the visuals and the way those come on, the pacing, the way it's edited, the dialogue, I mean, all of it really funnels you into this hellscape nightmare vibe. But if you're a fan of mockumentary, found footage style of movies, ones that are really intense and full of mood and atmosphere, then this is one you absolutely need to see. House LLC is a 2015 found footage horror movie, written and directed by Stephen Cognetti. It stars Alice Balk, Kristen Michelle Taylor, and Danny Bellini. 5 years after an unexplained malfunction causes the death of 15 tourgoers at a Halloween haunted house tour, a documentary crew travels back to the scene of the tragedy to find out what really happened.
Look, there it is, there it is.
Here we go. What was that?
I don't know.
I think this would be such a fantastic double feature with Ghoul, because both these are different from each other, both found footage-ish movies, but two of the best of the found footage mockumentary style of movies out there. Because they do both have a lot of found footage, but they're also interweaving that documentary thing into them. And that, to me, adds a level of realism. It just feels much more like you're watching a real documentary. And so when you see these wild things and creepy things happen, it just, in the back of your head, makes it feel that much more easy to kind of believe and fall into. But I just love the look and style of all of the Hell House movies. The different clowns and weird different figures that have popped up over the different films, I think are fantastic. And it's great because for the first time, we're getting a new Hell House movie that'll be in theaters. It's called House LLC Lineage, and it comes out at the end of August. And at least from the little sneak peek trailer we have gotten so far, it looks like it's going to be fantastic. But from what I've heard, they're going away from the found footage element, so I'm really curious to see what they do and how they take this franchise moving forward. But the OG, this original one, is still the best in my opinion. It is so creepy, unnerving, I just love the DIY, organic, small film element to this. It just makes it that much more creepy and ominous. But also, if you're a Halloween nut like I am, this is a fun teaser to just kind of give you a little taste of Halloween and hold you over for the next couple months until we finally get to that time of the year. So if you're looking for something creepy as hell tonight and have never seen House LLC, do yourself a favor and make this the next thing that you watch.
I think you killed him, John.
Demonic is a 2015 supernatural horror movie. Directed by Will Cannon, it stars Frank Grillo, Dustin Milligan, and Maria Bello. A police officer and psychologist investigate the death of 5 people who were killed while trying to summon ghosts.
We were hunting ghosts.
Is that what they were here for?
Trying to capture spirits on film.
It's so funny, while I've been shooting this video and just kind of reading off my notes, it blows me away how many of these movies, one, were from 2015. That's total accidental. I had no idea that was not something I intended on doing. So that's interesting. But then also, the last 2 movies and this one all are very similar in a lot of ways. So if you're up for a triple feature, I think these 3 would be fantastic. Because even though this one isn't a mockumentary, it does still have some found footage elements in it. Because this detective is watching a lot of this found footage and trying to put 2 and 2 together and figure out what exactly happened at this crime scene. But this also does a good job with the supernatural. It gets super creepy and atmospheric. It's interesting as well because this is produced by James Wan, but this was more when he was still more hands-on, and you get a little bit of a James Wan feel to this movie. Now, he didn't direct it, so I'm not saying that he made this movie, but you could definitely feel that he was involved in it. But I think it's a really cool blend of detective elements and supernatural haunted house vibes. It's really fun the way it's put together, and I'm not saying this is a game changer, but I do think it's a fun popcorn kind of movie. So I think Demonic is very entertaining and absolutely worth your time. Hush is a 2016 home invasion horror movie. I know you thought I was going to say 2015. Nope, 1 year later, finally one that's got a different year. Directed by Mike Flanagan, it stars Kate Siegel, Samantha Sloyland, and John Gallagher Jr. A deaf writer who retreated into the woods to live a solitary life must fight for her life in silence when a masked killer appears at her window. This is such a unique little movie because you could easily be like, oh, it's just another slasher or home invasion movie or whatever. And that's kind of the way it's been labeled. But there's a lot more to this, and that's because it's done by Mike Flanagan with an incredible performance by his wife, Kate Siegel. She's in almost all of his projects, and in a lot of cases, you'd be like, man, yeah, it's always got to have his wife and stuff, but she is such an incredible actor that you're more than happy that she's in any of his projects. But this was the first time I saw her in anything, and she is just mesmerizing. Not only is she beautiful, but she's able to convey so much just through facial expressions and body language. It's really impressive in this. But just that one little element of her not being able to hear makes a huge difference and makes this movie just feel so unique. But once again, that goes back to being a Mike Flanagan done movie, because just the way he paces things, there are different elements of where you see the killer, even though she doesn't, but you see it, and it just builds the intensity and anticipation. It makes this movie just so intense. But for such a simple little movie, it is just so entertaining. So if for whatever reason you've skipped over this over the years, figuring, it's just a slasher, whatever, another generic kind of movie, I'm telling you, if you give this a chance, I think it'll surprise you. Beezel is a 2024 supernatural horror movie. Co-written and directed by Aaron Fradkin, it stars Victoria Fradkin, Nicholas Robin, and Bob Gallagher. Over the span of 60 years, 3 guests of a cursed home discover an eternal witch who lives beneath it with an insatiable thirst for living souls.
I've made a lot of sacrifices in my life, and I was chosen by her.
This was one of the biggest surprises for me last year because you got to keep in mind, this is a very, very small movie, limited resources. You can tell that there's not a lot that they were working with, but they did such a great job in this. And it's cool because it's a family affair. The Fradkins are both heavily involved in this movie, but I think they did such an incredible job with the mood, the vibe, the atmosphere. It's really creepy in the way that they build the tension. And even though they're not working with a lot, like I said, because it's really just in this one house, the way they use the basement, the way they do use the shadows and the lighting, it's just so eerie and off-putting. But then the witch, man, the way she looks, that actress is incredible, but also they did a fantastic job with special effects, makeup, and whatnot, because she just looks absolutely terrifying. But I think it's a really engaging, twisted little movie that really just kind of keeps you guessing and trying to figure out where this movie's going and what exactly is going to happen. But after I recommended this last year, I had a number of people that said they were disappointed in it. They expected it to be better or whatever. You got to keep in mind the scale that this movie is being recommended on. This is not a big budget, crazy horror movie. This is a very small, intimate, indie, weird, creepy little movie. And that's such a tricky thing when it comes to this channel and me recommending movies, is it's hard for me to convey to you guys sometimes kind of the scale that I'm recommending it from, because sometimes I'll recommend these big budget movies that if I'm rating it on a scale with major resources and acting and all that, I may rate it here, and then I might recommend a little tiny indie movie, and it may sound like I'm talking about them the same, but you got to have your expectations in the right place. This is not going to be on the same level with like a movie like Insidious or The Conjuring or whatnot. And that's why I always say to go into a movie like this with your expectations in check. Don't expect too much, just expect to be entertained by a creepy little atmospheric movie. But I think this is a fun one and a perfect pick for this Saturday night. So do yourself a favor this weekend, pick one of the movies off of this list, grab your popcorn and your candy, and enjoy! And like always, thank you so much for watching. Please crush that like button, and remember guys, horror can be fun, and I'll see you all next time.